Welcome, Warriors, back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. We are here, and it's moved up to 15 degrees, so it's good to see that we're getting a heat wave in the Midwest. This is great warrior weather, and like I say in the last video, I took a cold shower, and it was invigorating to no end. And so I love it, and it's just the way that I believe life should be. I think we got too many soft people out there. We need to get a little tougher in our attitudes and the way we are, and sticking to our values and sticking to those, even in these rough times, even in these times where it's something that you're not agreeing with. And I know I'm taking the brunt of it for my end of it, and we all are taking different brumps, whether it's losing jobs or not having enough food or prices are too high. A lot of things are happening, but I have a lot of faith and hope, and I think that's the key that we want to talk about. We talked about that a little bit in the last video, but that's what you want to kind of look at to be able to say, let's continue, don't give up, keep moving forward, taking one step at a time, keep battling every single day until you can't battle anymore, and things will eventually turn out good. They will turn out very well for you if you continue battling and you don't give up. So thank you for the subscriptions, comments, likes. I use them all as much as I can. And donate, please, as well. Always can help the cause, and continue to work with us in these times. Now the Christmas season coming through, one of my favorite times, and trying to help people get over. There's a lot of hopelessness and depression that occurs during the holidays. I know that. I've seen that over the years as well. So please help someone, a fellow warrior, if they're feeling down. Give them some encouragement. Try to build them up. And even though things may seem kind of bleak right now in the world, in different places and situations you may have, nothing is ever what it seems. And that's the topic for us today, guys. Is life a mirage? And I think this is a really interesting type of question. Now, for those of you who may not remember, we don't use the word mirage as much as we used to, but the mirage is something very simply that occurs when you're seeing a false image. So, for instance, if you're on the desert and you're out of water, food, and you're really struggling to make it, but all of a sudden ahead of you see a pond of water, and you rush to that pond of water thinking, okay, now I can get some water, this is going to be great, but all of a sudden you got nothing but sand in your mouth, because it really wasn't an image of water. You were just kind of looking like it was. It looked like it was. Kind of, in some cases, hallucinating a little bit, right? So the question then becomes, well, if this occurs in this type of situation, is life a mirage? Or how much of life is a mirage? And that's a good question to ask. And so I'm going to kind of address this in many perspectives here. And you may hear some of this stuff. You may think, like some people, hey, Vigor Warrior, you know what you're talking about. You're losing it, Vigor Warrior. You're losing it. And but after all these years, I have a stronger feeling that these things are accurate, and that we have to really kind of be diligent every day on our purpose and plan. So first of all, I believe, and again, people may be saying to me, you're losing it, Vigor Warrior, you're losing it. And I believe that there are evil spirits that are roaming the earth. I believe there's great spirits, angels running around, and obviously minions of the devil are running around as well. And so why wouldn't that be the case? I mean, people are people. We're all human beings, but we're small in this whole big thing of the world. So the Creator, why wouldn't they have dark as long with light? And the old saying that we've talked about several times is that You cannot have light without dark, and you cannot have dark without light. You have to be able to see the contrast in your eyes to be able to know the difference. Now the question is, for a lot of us, it gets blurred most of the time because we don't really have a sense of values. And this is where I think your religious values are really important, the ones that you have with your Creator. Because those are the ones that are going to be able to kind of separate you from the blurred vision that you have here of looking at whether something is evil or whether something is good. And I fell into this many times over the years, and I know that you have to make the right choices of things that are happening. And if you do that, then you're able to kind of feel the success of things that are positive as compared to what's happening that are negative. Okay? So, first thing is that we have to recognize there are evil spirits out there. And I think if you recognize that, you also know that you have to be aware, not of the person necessarily, even though they're in the person, but you have to be aware of that evil spirit. And I don't believe people are bad, and I think I said this, and Thelma was talking about this in one of her comments. I don't think people are bad. I do think people can be taken over by evil spirits. And we all have that possibility, which is another reason we have to stay strong with our commitment to the plan, the goals, our Creator, those type of things that we talk about. So the idea that you have evil spirits is one of the factors you have to consider. So what is the evil spirits doing? Why would this be a mirage? Well, go back to the temptation of Adam and Eve, and you look at how Satan was able to trick Eve with the apple. Why was that the case? Well, because they didn't have strong enough faith to believe that the apple could do something that God couldn't do. And so they bit the apple, and the woman, said, the devil made me do it. And the woman then gave it to Adam, and he didn't think about it either. And so they both fell victim of doubt and did not accept the Lord and basically thought that their way was better. And I believe, guys, that this is the same apple that we experience in life all the time. Now, the apple in this case was a small apple in the parable. However, the small apple could represent all of life. And so as you look at the apple that was talked about, it was a mirage. It was giving things to people that were not going to be better for them in the long run. And so all you got to do is look at all the things in our society that really are temptations that people use, thinking that you're going to be better off with all this stuff. And this is the rub, this is the temptation that the Satan uses to try to get you to fall into patterns of behavior. So let's look at some of these as we go along. So we can start off with the one talking about retention, right? That's our foundation that we talk about in a lot of this channel, right? And the whole idea is that you're going to be better off if you're releasing your energy all the time and you're watching these images. And we know, just from our experiences, the 1% Club, that this is very far from the truth. But it was tempting, because a certain part of it, the release is an enjoyable thing for when it happens. And when you're procreating, you see that as well, and it creates babies, so people believe that they make the assumption that this is necessarily good for you, and not only when you're procreating, but all the time. But as we've seen, as you've experienced and I've experienced, that it's not a good thing if you're just wasting your energy. And so, once again, all you have to do is see all these things out there in the markets. People want you to buy Viagra, and now I heard another one talking about how Viagra is not good for you, and that you have to now get but sonic types of things to be able to help your dysfunction. Well, we didn't have this. The dysfunctional problems, guys, are only something that's been, in abundance over the last number of years. And I believe it's because people are wasting their energy so much that they become dysfunctional. And it doesn't become anything that they can actually do because they're so wrapped into only doing it when they're watching, they're doing themselves to themselves, that they can't even do it now with other people. And I've seen that happen over and over again. So the whole idea of this sucking people in and being able to look at that and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this, is like you're leading yourself to your own slaughter, you know, because you're getting caught into this temptation, and the water you see as a mirage is not really good for you. Okay, and you can look at the same thing when it comes to gambling. A lot of people, they got caught into this lifestyle thinking this is the best way for them. But guys, seriously, if you really thought about this, why would you ever say that gambling is something that's good for you? Could you win? Of course. But you know what the odds of winning? They have to be extremely high in anything you do, whether it's the lottery, whether it's the boats, the casinos, because the object for these casinos is to make money. And so they're going to make money off of you. And whether you win a card game and now you're stuck at the table playing until you lose, you're addicted. And people know these behaviors have been around for centuries upon centuries. They know the addictive behavior people have. And so as you look at this, you have to understand yourself, is this something that I really can deal with? In most cases not. So that's why I've stayed away from gambling now all these years, which I got caught when playing football, fantasy football, things like that. And it's small gambling, but I couldn't even deal with that. What about overeating? Let's look at that, right? You look at overeating, it looks like the food is great for you, right? Until it goes into your system. Then all of a sudden, you're hurting for the next, day or so. We had this happen at a buffet the other day we went to. Man, it was a great looking food and everything was good, but it wasn't good for me. All of a sudden, I started feeling bad the next day. And you can't do that. Now, I've fell victim to that many times, and I know we all have. Something looks good, something looks, sugary and things like that, but it's not good for you. And you have to do the best you can to actually combat that, because you're going to live a lot longer life, and you'll be able to kind of, keep on your plan the more you do that. What's another one? Drugs, of course, right? A lot of people look at the, and then over the years, I've been around for 60 years, so I've seen, highs and lows of people wanting to do things like marijuana and doing things like LSD, and then, doing things like ecstasy over the years. All these types of things you see. Cocaine, I've seen friends of mine do that. All this because they feel like to get bombed out, and I guess this goes along with drinking as well, getting bombed out is the best thing to do. Forget about your problems and change your mind, type your mind. Well, again, guys, what's the consequence of this, right? We're in a society where we don't believe God can heal us. We don't believe we can heal within ourselves. And so basically, we succumb to any sort of these type of things, drugs, different types of things like that, to help us overcome our pain or stress, where it might be. A lot of our own pain and stress has been caused by ourselves, getting ourselves into these situations. And so when you take drugs of any sort, you're going to have side effects. I don't care if you're talking about LSD or you're talking about any kind of medicine. You're going to go ahead and you're going to have side effects. And the question then is, do you got to take another drug for another side effect? And this is why, when we look at brahmacharya and other types of things like that, people really kind of make an effort of saying, I'm not going to put anything in my body that I don't believe is going to help me. And I guess that's the perspective that I take right now. In studying this myself, that's the perspective I take. I do not put things in my body that I feel are not going to help me. Right? And obviously I've taken a lot of criticism for that. But as we move on, I feel tremendous, and I will continue feeling tremendous because I feel like things within yourself can actually help you be stronger. And obviously, when you have retention, I believe you have the biggest thing you can have. I call it the S power, right? The S power is important, right? And the S power means that you have things within yourself that you can actually use your nutrients to help you fight off battles and have that immunity to sicknesses that you can have. All right, guys, until next time, battle on.